I like that I was busy in high school. With the time that I was in high school, we had the athletics association. So I was always busy in sports. I played basketball and soccer, and we were busy planning class trips. We went on student exchanges. Like I went to Saskatoon with my grade 10 class, I think. And then the grade 10, I think it was grade 10, came up here. So that was really neat. And also through the athletics association, I was able to do some, I had an after school job. So things like that kept me busy during high school. Academics, I was always good at it. Like my parents were they're big advocates for I have to be at school every day. You can't be late for school. You do your homework after school. So it all just kind of, it wasn't the highlight of my schooling just because I was so, I guess I felt confident at that already. Didn't really, I guess, affect my idea of how I was in school, I guess. Sometimes with math. Math was my weakest subject. I didn't like math. I think I stayed in the 10, 11, 12 pure math, but that was just the hardest thing for me. I was always stronger in language and English and socials. In high school, none.
Junior high?
Junior high, maybe very little, not too much. Our Inuinnaqtun class was always just, sometimes we'd go over a few words that are on the board, like maybe the Inuinnaqtun teacher will give us a lesson on snow or the geese, but mostly it was cultural activities like sewing and going to the Brighter Futures program or things like that. In my high school, no, I didn't. No. All of my, I think I've only ever had maybe two Inuit teachers in my life, and those were kindergarten and grade 1, maybe 1 or 2. I'd like to see it changed. I mean, if the government is pushing for you have to be fluent in Inuktitut or Inuinnaqtun by, I think it's like 2020 or something, before you can graduate. I mean, that's going to hold a lot of people. A lot of my nieces and nephews who are first language English, they're going to be held back from graduation, I think, because they won't be fluent in Inuinnaqtun by that time. I don't think I can even be fluent in Inuinnaqtun by that time. If I had to rate myself, probably I would be on a 6 out of 10. You know, I can understand that much, but I can't speak it. I can't even put a simple sentence together. Yeah. There was a lot of cultural activities. Like we did lots of on-the-land school trips. We went fishing, or I remember one time we went out, I think we went overnighting to one of the islands close by here, and we did a igloo building with some of the elders in town, and that was pretty cool. Outside of home, my family was always very traditional, so I always took part in that kind of stuff. So. Just to, mostly the biggest lesson was always to do things when you're told to do things. If your parents tell you to do something, don't say wait, otherwise, you know, you're holding back the trip, or things don't get cleaned on time or done on time, and everything just seems to pile up, and so that was one of the biggest lessons. And also just learning about the land. My dad always pointed out landmarks, so when I go out now, I'm able to pinpoint different places and say, oh yeah, that looks familiar. I might not know the place, the name of it, but I have a mental image of it, of being there in my past, so. It's hard to say. I think that if I really look back at it, I missed a lot of school. I mean, I was a stronger student, but I did miss a lot of school. A lot of my after school, like my job brought me into, I'd work until 11 o'clock at night. So some mornings I wouldn't even bother to show up to school, or I'd show up halfway through the morning. I was always able to catch up with my work, but little things like that, I feel like, the teachers kind of let me off a little bit, kind of let me slide. I think that I needed that structure, because now in my life, in my job, it's very hard. It was very hard for me to adjust to having an 8:30 to 5 job. Just having to wake up and plan everything you need to do in the morning to make sure you get to work at 8:30. So punctuality would have been a good thing to have had learned during school. Even though I got it from my parents earlier on, it kind of just, it wasn't stressed as much in my later years, like high school years. Well, I was I didn't live with my parents from, I think 13 was the time that I moved out of my parents' house. So that was kind of the time when I just had to grow up, I guess, and figure it out on my own. But even though I was not in their house, they were always, pushing for me to be at school, and I had to graduate, and I had to do my homework, and if I was going to have a job, then I'd have to help around the house, or just try to balance my responsibilities. To my grandpa's house. Moved in with my grandpa. I think I was about 13 or 14. But it was just for a couple of years. By the time I think it was the spring before I graduated from high school, I moved back in with my parents. And that was where I was always after high school. Well, I graduated and I got a summer job. I think it was at the Department of Education where I got a summer job. I think it was filing, like a record-keeping position. But then in the fall, I went to Ottawa to attend Nunavut. I was straight out of high school then. And then after that, I came home. I took a year off and I worked for the High School Athletics Association, managing their arcade and their pizza den, looking after the business side of their operation. And then after that year was over, I was accepted to the transition year program at the University of Alberta. So I went there, kind of just tried all kinds of different courses, trying to figure out what I liked. And then I did that for a year, and after that I kept going. I went back to the U of A and I majored in psychology. I don't know, I never thought I'd end up in psychology, but I took a course and I really liked it, so I just stuck with it. From the transition year program I did, but not from, I haven't finished my degree. My mom got sick. She got sick with cancer, so I came home. And it's been a couple years now, but I still haven't gone back to finish. It was really hard for me because I was always busy with my family. I was always, it was hard to move away. And even though my best friend attended NS the same year that I did, and she was like my biggest support there, it was hard to be away from them. So for about 2 months after I left, I was just completely a mess and homesick. But it's nice because at NS you kind of feel right away that, or you kind of get the idea, like the feeling that everybody else is going through the same thing as you are. Some people might be better off, or some people might be a little worse, but you end up bonding almost like a family because you're such a small group of people and you're all from the same area, right? We're all from Nunavut, and we can all kind of relate to what each other has gone through. So adjusting to life in the city was it wasn't too bad. I mean, I kind of missed the quiet, no ambulances and no sirens and no trucks, or or very few trucks. But I also liked that it was easier to access things there. Like, it was easier to go shopping, it was cheaper to go shopping. The health services were much better than what's offered up here, and just cheaper living is what I liked about it. I ran for a member of the Kugluktuk DEA in this, I think it was December of 2010. We were struggling to get members to run for the board, so I just kind of, somebody asked me if they could nominate me, and I was like, sure, why not? I mean, it wouldn't hurt. And then one of my friends, I asked her if she wanted to run for the board too, so we got her nominated. She's a couple years younger than me, one year younger than me. So the both of us got nominated, and then we ended up just being acclaimed to the board because not enough people ran for the election. So that's how I got onto the DEA. If you're asking me for a reason why, is that?
Maybe. If you have one.
Sometimes I think about that too. I think, is there a reason why I decided to run for the DEA? I just feel like it just felt like the next thing for me to take part in. I thought it was be a really educational experience for me. I'd come through the high school system and been able to experience school outside of Kugluktuk and outside of Nunavut, and I thought I have neat experiences to share. And it's mostly it was an educational thing for me, maybe a professional development thing for me too, to be a part of the DEA.
Sounds like it was a great idea.
Oh yeah, it was. I enjoy being on the DEA. What I would like to see happen is that when I think about it, I think about my nieces and my nephews and my younger brother and my younger sister and their kids to come, and I imagine them going through the school system. What I want for them is to be able to come out, strong and confident, being able to believe in themselves. I know a lot of that is built in at home, but some of it, all of that confidence in the school is kind of like it's access to other things that are outside of Kugluktuk, I guess. New experiences and learning how to be around other people, and what I want for them, if they're going through the system, is to come out at the end of the day with graduates who've got a clear vision of what they want to be like, where they want to go, that are able to make plans for themselves, plan for themselves, and then take the steps to move themselves forward. and then the people at home just being the support. I want them to be strong enough to move themselves and forward, to be successful, I guess. I'd like them all to graduate and all go to university and come home with university degrees. But if they don't, I mean, just as long as they're successful in their lives, and they find some kind of success, and don't shut doors before they have to be, or don't shut those doors for them. They've got lots of opportunities. And that's what high school was for me, I think, was that that access to options, opportunities. Being able to see, it helped me to see what's outside of Kugluktuk and what I could do rather than just be here and fall into maybe not even graduate or just go straight into the workforce or something like that. I'd really like to see more parents involved in, in education, in their kids' education. It's more than just reading your kid a book at the end of the day. It's also being involved in making sure they have their homework done and getting to bed at a decent hour, being home at night, kind of setting the example for your children. Because if I look at Kugluktuk now, a lot of people are struggling with all kinds of social issues. I'm just going to leave it at social issues, and people are out all hours of the night, and those are examples of, those are things kids are picking up. Those are things that the kids are seeing, and they're seeing that and learning that behavior from their parents. And I'd like for if I want parents to be involved in education at home. I want them to set the example at home and push them to be in school and succeed in school. Set expectations, but expectations that are achievable. It's true. The kids are only in school for like 20% of the day, and the rest of the time they're at home, so the majority of what they're learning is what they see outside of the school system. I've done a little bit of volunteering with them. Like, I took part in their dinner and auction, and I shared some of my experiences with my mother being a cancer patient and all of that. But the Women in Action, the movement, I don't know. I do some volunteering for them. That's as far as it is. But my role in the community, I kind of see myself as a information resource now. Like, I don't really know. I like to think of myself as a role model for my younger nieces and nephews. I want them to grow up and see that there's other options for them, rather than, I'll just say, other options for them. That they can do things that are outside of Kugluktuk and experience new things, like traveling and see the world, and get a job as an engineer or something like that. Just to have big dreams, to go for them. I have no idea. I really have no idea. Life has just been like, if an opportunity presents itself, just take it. So, who knows? Who knows?
Do you see yourself continuing to live in the north?
Probably, maybe. If not, eventually. Like, I've been thinking of going back to school. It's kind of been on my mind for a while now, so I've been looking at that, and then other options are opening up for me with my work, my current job. So I've got lots of different things to think about and different directions to head in, but I'm not too sure what I want to do yet.
Yeah. What's your job right now?
I'm a career development officer. Sometimes the most recent one that I participated in was the Qaujimajatuqangit Inuit Association was here with their youth programmer, and they took a group of students out to the trade show in Cambridge Bay, and they toured around NAIT and the U of A in Edmonton. So they came back, and the students did their presentation, and I shared some of my experiences being at the U of A and being a student and going back to work and that kind of stuff. So I'm not a regular face in the school in terms of my job, though. I think I should. I mean, like, I think that thinking about your career should be something that starts very early. Maybe not so much a career development officer being in like elementary, maybe junior high, then you'll have some exposure. But then in high school, then I think that's the time when you really have to start thinking about your options, about whether you want to go into post-secondary education and what you want to train in, or what you want to eventually become, and learning about what kind of steps you have to take, or what kind of education you need to do this job or that. I think those are things that people need to start preparing for, rather than just kind of falling into it. Because that's really how I live now. I just kind of fall into things. Like out of school, well, NS was planned, but after that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd never ever thought about what I was going to end up becoming or what I was going to end up working as. So when I went to school, I had no idea. I had no direction, no plan, and I was just kind of free floating at the U of A and took whatever course. I tried everything. I tried Native Studies, I tried sociology, and I took a course in statistics and computers and all of that. I absolutely didn't like those two courses, and then I took a human ecology course, and that was more into what I liked, dealing with families, learning about family structures. And then I ended up in a psychology course, and I like this, I'm just gonna stick with it and go with it. And I stuck to it, and I still think it's really interesting. So hopefully I'll get back to the U of A or wherever to finish my degree.
Okay.
I think about a year and a half. I think.
So close.
I know, so close. I was even looking at doing some of my courses online just to start. Get back maybe one course here and another course there, but I mean, I just haven't got around to it. I've been so wrapped up in my job and liking a life with my own apartment and well, with my job, I've been doing I'm taking a career development practitioner's course with the Nunavut Arctic College. So the courses are, I think it's 10 courses, and they're spread out over a few months, but I'm about halfway through now, and I guess, yeah, things present themselves to me, and then it really does take away the motivation to go back to school. It's true. The top reason for me would be to say I did it. To say I actually did it. Because it felt like it took forever to get through the first 3 years of university. And I think just being able to finally finish and put it aside and say for myself, oh my goodness, I actually completed a 4-year program, would be really gratifying for me. Mm-hmm. I never really thought about it being a 4-year program. Mostly it was take it one semester at a time. Because if you think, holy, this is a 4-year program, how am I going to do this? It means 4 years away from Kugluktuk and 4 years away from my family, then it becomes really overwhelming. So once I got started though, I never ever thought about the length of the program. Like, I was so wrapped up in school. It was so busy, and all the courses, all of the coursework and all of that, just it doesn't even really allow you time to think about about home or even. I mean, but by that time, I'd already been outside of Kugluktuk and lived outside of Kugluktuk before, so that might have been why it was a little bit easier for me. NS prepared me for city life, but nothing prepared me for university life, I think. I remember the first day that I got to the U of A, it was so crazy. I stood in the bookstore getting my textbooks, and I couldn't believe how many people were around me, and I hated that I had to wait in line to get my textbooks. And that was the one thing I hated every semester, was waiting for my textbooks. I don't know, adjusting to U of A it took a while. It took a while to adjust. But Edmonton is close to Kugluktuk. I mean, it's not close, but it's the gateway for the Qitalmute, so people from Kugluktuk were always coming through, and my parents would come down to visit. And my first year of university, I also went with one of my friends from here, so that was, I had lots of good support systems in place already. I think my biggest obstacle was maybe learning to set my own timeline, set my own deadlines. Because at NS, you've got your core group of people, your one tiny classroom, and you get to work with everyone and meet those deadlines with everyone on time. But at the U of A, I felt like I was very on my own. I had to be very independent and set deadlines for myself, make sure I met those deadlines. Like, I had to be very responsible for my own schedule. I was used to other people planning it for me. But then I don't know, it just felt like I had to be really independent. I had to learn to be really independent. I think that some of the things that would have helped me transition over to university, maybe if one of the hardest things to transition over to was writing university style. I mean, you're used to writing short 1-page essays or 1-page stories in high school. I had to learn grammar. I had to learn all kinds of different writing styles when I went to university, and then I was not used to I didn't know how to finish a 5,000 word essay. I thought it was the craziest thing, and it just gets bigger and bigger as the years go by. I guess it was the whole academics in general. Like, even with the maths and sciences, I was not even prepared to. The maths and sciences in high school didn't even prepare me to write the departmental exam, the high school departmental exam. I mean, I was a stronger student, but I almost failed all of those. Thankfully, I didn't, but I almost did. It's a totally a higher level of math, I think. A whole higher level of science, and high school just didn't prepare me for that. I think the only class that I was really prepared to write for my departmental exams were English and social studies. The maths and sciences were lower. In grade 12, I think it was about grade 12, grade 11 when I really realized that I needed to either work harder or move to a different level of math in order to pass. And then when I moved to university, I remember when I was looking at college and university programs, and I'd always had this, I like being outdoors. My dad was a conservation officer at the time, so I liked being outdoors. I liked working outdoors, and I felt really comfortable out there. So I thought I might move into maybe environmental science or biology, but I couldn't get into a program like that because I didn't have grade 12 math. I didn't have my math 12, and I would have had to take my math 12 again, and I would have had to upgrade my science because it was not a high enough mark to move into that field. So rather than do that and spend another year here, I decided I'll try something else. I'll maybe go into, try the arts courses at the university. I know the school has a school community or a school community counselor, but I don't know how much career counseling is involved in that. How much of the planning for the future is involved. It happens a lot. I know it does. It happens a lot. I've talked to a lot of people who said I wanted to take this, but that means I'd have to upgrade my marks or try to get a higher mark, challenge the departmental again, or yeah. I always wanted to learn Inuinnaqtun. Like I said before, I lived with my grandfather, and even though I could understand most of what he was saying, I was not able to have a full conversation with him. So I was never really able to get to learn about his life or learn about him as a person, just other than to experience things that he was experiencing at the time, or I couldn't hear his stories as the way he was telling them, or so there. I think there was a lot of things that I was missing from his life and his culture and the way he was brought up, because I can't understand and speak fluently. I wasn't able to ask him questions, or when I think about Inuinnaqtun now, it is important for me to learn. I think it's important for everyone to learn, because it feels like it has a deeper connection to families, even though it's not there, people aren't using it and speaking it, it feels like it's kind of in the background. Like all our grandparents speak Inuinnaqtun and our parents speak Inuinnaqtun, and then we're kind of just a new generation of English speakers. Like English is my first language. I don't know, I'm scared to think about it. If nothing is done, then it's gonna disappear and nobody's gonna use it. There's gonna be no one to teach it and no one to pass it on. That's why it's so important for it to be in the home. It has to start at home. It really does. and I don't know. I think it has to start at home, but when I think about it, a lot of the families in Kugluktuk are very young families, and a lot of those young families are first language English speakers too. So we're all kind of not too sure how to start, or I guess not too sure how to even start using it in the home, or I don't know. I don't have a answer, or I have a, I don't know. My parents were both fluent in Inuinnaqtun. My mom she worked at the language bureau here, so she sometimes did translating, and they used it in the home. No, not so much to us, but mostly to themselves. Like, never really pushed us to respond back in Inuinnaqtun, or I don't know. There was no real push for us to learn it. Where would you go? I don't know. There's no school or anywhere to go. If you wanted to be around it, then I guess you could visit somebody who's unilingual in Inuinnaqtun or able to speak Inuinnaqtun. But that's about it. It's not used a lot. For me,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't. I mean, just, I guess it's not on the higher end of my priority list. I mean, I'm comfortable with my language abilities, and I'm comfortable with my cultural the knowledge that I have already. I mean, it's nice to take part in them, but it's, for me personally, then it's not a top priority for me.